carpet.
The moment you've all been waiting for.
Well, that hit the spot.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Gosscast with myself, Ali Ryan, and Kendra Becker.
Hello.
This week we are going to do an Oscars special because it is Oscars weekend, which is really exciting. Normally I'm there every year. Kendra's been there too, so we're going to talk about just some of the memories, the fun memories we've had on our Oscars trips, what to expect from the Oscars this weekend, and just some of our fave Oscar stories. So for me, I was thinking about this yesterday when we were planning the podcast. The first time I went to Oscars week was like 8 years ago. So I was working in a newspaper, and I just literally went to the MD of the newspaper, and I was like, I think I should go to LA. Like, I think I can get into all these parties. Like, just let me go, basically book my flights, like I'll figure it out. And I literally just talked my way into so many different events and parties, and one of them was the Oscar Wilde party, which, if you've ever seen any of the Gossip, the Oscars coverage we do, we normally go there every year. We always go to the Oscar Wilde party. So I remember doing that as like the first event ever on the green carpet, and they always have a few Irish celebrities there. So that's why, if you ever heard of the Oscar Wilde party, it's like the biggest one for us because it's very Irish focused, and it's so cool. Like, it's in JJ Abrams' office in Santa Monica, which is wild. So if you're into any of his movies like Star Wars, Lost, obviously the series that he did, there's so much cool memorabilia, and you're like not allowed to touch or look at anything really, but I always do. Always do. But yeah, that was kind of my first experience going over, and it is one of those things, like normally with stuff in showbiz, I don't know about you, Kendra, but I'm always like, it's not really as glam as it seems. But I feel like with the Oscars, it actually is.
Oh no, it totally is. Like, there's definitely, you have to stand on red carpets and stuff for hours and stuff like that. But it is so, like, what year did I go? Was it 2018? Yeah, it was 2018. And it was just so, even just being in LA in general, it's like insane. Just because that was obviously my first time I'd ever been in LA at all. And it's just, even like driving down like Sunset Boulevard, it's so cool. So yeah, just, and especially being there during Oscars week, like we obviously went around Hollywood Boulevard where the red carpet's set up and everything, and it's so exciting just seeing everything being set up. That alone is just like amazing.
Yes, I remember the first time I ever drove down, because every time I go to LA, we have to tell the story because it's gossip, but every time I go to LA, I always rent a car. And the year Kendra came over, so the year the Kendra came over, I also brought, there's 3 other girls with us, and we rented this like massive apartment, and we were in the airport. God, it must have been like 2 a.m. or something though, was it? It was really late.
Maybe it was very late. Yeah, we were wrecked.
So tired, so jet lagged.
Can I just mention, the Gossies had only happened a day before, and then we flew, so we were knackered, like, so we were very disorientated.
Yeah, it's important to note that the reason we do the Gossies when we do, except for this year obviously because COVID, but normally we do the Gossies in January, like the last weekend of January, and then we hop on a plane and go to the Oscars. So we tried to like kick off award season here by doing the Gossies first. The first year we actually did that, which was 2016, the first ever Gossies were 2016. Me and one of the other girls that went to the Oscars that year, we accidentally booked our flights for 6 a.m, not 6 p.m. So we literally went to the Gossies after party in Lily's and then went to the airport.
Like straight from Lily's.
That was wild. But yeah, sorry, but the year that Kendra came, I had like pre-organized a car, like all good. But for some reason, when I landed and I got to the depot, they just started talking me into getting bigger cars. And I was so tired, and Kendra was like, Ali, you don't need it. And I was like, look, whatever, I'm just gonna get it. They want to give me this huge SUV, I'm just gonna take it, like whatever, like fine. And like, wasn't it honestly the size of like a truck?
We were literally driving around LA in like a lorry. It was so big. And I remember we were like standing at the counter, and I could see your one. She was like, oh, you should go for the upgrade, you know, bigger car, blah, blah. And I was kind of like, Ali, we definitely don't need that big car. And you were like, I'm just going to do it. And I was like, okay.
Like, it was, no, in fairness, it's probably my favorite car I've ever driven. Like,
yeah, no, it was so cool.
And because there were so many of us, like it was the perfect size in the end. But I remember we got in the SUV then, and I was like, how am I going to drive this out of the lot? So
Definitely
long.
the biggest car you've ever driven.
How did I park it? Although one of the things I love about LA is like their car parks are gigantic. It's because everyone has SUVs. Like,
Massive car.
you couldn't be parking this one in Stephen's Green Shopping Centre. Like,
Oh no.
I wouldn't have even got in. Like it was so large, but that was such a fun trip. Oh my god. And over the years it's just been wild. Like I remember when I started going over for Oscars week, like we're one of the only publications that go over and that still go over now, but people are always kind of like, but sure, you're not like a small fish in a big pond, and it's really not like that. Like the industry there is very similar to the industry here, I think, whereas once you're kind of in the know and you're in the circles, it's very easy to go to events. Like we'd be at events where E are right beside us or Access Hollywood are right beside us, you know, and it really, I don't know, I never found it that difficult to actually get to the events, which is the difficult thing for most publications. But I guess I just know everybody there now. It's weird, like people expect to see me at them. And even like the last time I went, so 2020 were the last Oscars that I was physically around. And I remember the interview actually that's in, we did a piece this week about like the top goss at the Oscars moments. And the one where I interviewed Frankie Grande, Ariana Grande's brother, I just randomly was there, was setting up, and I remember there was a journalist there from the UK, and he was like, Ollie, hey, how are you? I hadn't seen him in like 3 years, but he was like, oh, like I always know you're going to be here for the Oscar circuit. Like it's just funny how like you just kind of become known over there because it is such a small little clique. But I was trying to think over like some of the best interviews. One of the first ones we ever did was the Emily Ratajkowski one. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did. It's so funny because I forgot that she obviously has roots to Cork and has been here before.
So the year that I was over there for that was 2016. She had done an interview, I think, on the Late Late Show or something. There was something where she had mentioned the fact she'd been visiting Cork. So we were at the awards. I think it was the Actors Guild Awards.
It was the costume.
Yeah. I mean, the people that were at that, like I saw Quentin Tarantino, Cate Blanchett, like that was wild. That was like my first event over there as Goss.ie, like before the last one was the newspaper, but like that was the first Goss event. And I was just so shocked at the people who were there. It was just crazy. But I saw Emily Ratajkowski and I was like, right, we have to get her talking about Ireland. Like we have to get her, and we did. And she was so nice. And then we talked to your man from New Girl as well. What's his name?
Warren Lawrence.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Just tell us
so funny.
Irish girls. I was like, oh my god, this is wild.
Yeah, because you were just like, because you're like, oh, have you ever been to Ireland? He was like, no, and he was like, but I've been Snapchatting some Irish girls. You were like, what?
Oh, sorry, that was
exposing himself massively there.
That was so wild. And then we have to talk about, I suppose, the two big events that we kind of always cover. First one we normally do is the Ireland, oh my god,
Ireland Funds America party.
Ireland Funds America party, right? Which wasn't actually on last year. But they always have such cool people there. So the year that Kendra was with me, we were there, we interviewed Colin Farrell and Chris O'Dowd was there too. Love Chris.
Love Chris.
So sound. But I'll never forget the year Colin was there because it was so clear he was there to kind of, there was basically no media added except for us. And you could tell like he definitely didn't want to be doing interviews. Like he was heading for the bar to get a glass of water and just like sneak under the radar. And I was like, Colin, like he definitely was like, hey. Like,
leave me alone.
Don't think he really wants to do it. But you know what? Anytime I've interviewed him, he's actually so nice. As soon as I was like, oh, can you do a quick interview? He was like, yeah, of course. And we were chatting to him. And I remember I was like, what's happening with Harry Potter? Like, are you coming back for the next
for Fantastic Beasts?
Yeah, the next Fantastic Beasts movie. And he was like, well, no, actually, I didn't get the call.
You were like, no, why? And he was like, well, did you not see the end of the movie? Because at the end of the movie, his character like changes.
And it's somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, oh no, I never got the call. And he was like, I was waiting by the phone.
But you remember, I was like, I think they should relook, because I was like, no, I did see the end. I think they need to find a way to bring you back. And he was like, you heard it here first. And that's like a clip we used to use on the Daily Goss all the time. It's like Colin being like, you heard it here first. That was like so cool. And he's actually so lovely. And then obviously the Oscar Wilde party. That's like such a massive event. And JJ Abrams hosts the whole thing. So we always talk to him every year. But who was your favorite the year that you went?
So we didn't actually get to chat to him, but it was Mark Hamill was there, so that was cool. Like even seeing him in person, I was like, hey. And then Kathy Griffin as well. I got a selfie with Kathy Griffin. Love her. She's so funny.
Her interview just like goes down in history for me when she was like, my mother was from Drogheda.
Yeah. I was watching that again. It's actually so
like, do you mean Drogheda? Like that was wild.
She's like Drogheda.
You wanted to be Celtic, but I actually love the crazy thing about the Oscar Wilde party is it's so like VIP, like it's so hard to get in, but for some reason I don't know why I get invited these days and I get to go inside and it's so bizarre. But the actual speeches and everything are so goss, they're so funny. And do you remember the year, I think the year you were there, was not the year Colin Farrell gave the award to Barry Keoghan?
Yeah.
It's like it's such a big deal to be nominated as like a rising star to get like an Oscar Wilde Award. Last year when I was there, Nicola Coughlan was there, who we obviously love. This is before Bridgerton. This was all off Dairy Girls, and it was so nice interviewing her. She really was just like, oh hi, like you know, she's so, I don't know what the word is for her. She's so quiet and quiet. It's like she doesn't realize how humble. Yeah. She just doesn't realize how amazing she is. But I think when she was at that party, there must have been a part of being like, oh my God, like JJ Abrams is here. Her and Chris O'Dowd gave an award together. It was so funny. It's actually still up on the Goss Instagram page. They were just so goss together. And sometimes it can be quite serious in there too. Like Chris one year did a speech and he talked a lot about what was happening in terms of the borders under Trump's presidency. Do you remember children were getting separated and stuff? And he gave like this really impassioned speech. And then there was a year where Glenn Hansard gave a really impassioned speech. So sometimes you're at these events and it's all glitz and glamour, and then suddenly something like really serious happens.
I was actually when I was watching it today, because I was doing that piece about all our favorite interviews and stuff, it's actually really interesting because Nicola, when she's talking to you, she mentions, she was like, oh yeah, yesterday I met Shonda Rhimes for the first time, who's the producer of Bridgerton. So that was obviously happening. Well, then she was getting the role, and then a year later she's like one of the most famous people ever
in the world. Like Kim Kardashian's loving her now. Like
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I think Nicola's always going to be the same, though. I could really, because even being at the green carpet in the first place was a huge deal. Dairy Girls is a huge deal. Like she was well known being on the carpet. She was still very much like, oh hi, you know, like off camera and everything. She was really chatty. She was really, really lovely. She won obviously Best Actress at the Gossies this year, and she sent us like the most lovely acceptance speech. So yeah, she is one of the people where I'm like so glad she's getting famous. Sometimes people start getting famous and you're like, oh, they really need their ego to be any larger right now. But with her, no, she's just so nice and she's so talented, and I loved her in Bridgerton. So this is the thing I love about Oscar Wilde, that party. They always bring in new up and coming talent.
Yeah.
You know, like there's always a new up and coming band playing, and they just really try to highlight Irish talent. I'm trying to think who else I've loved on that carpet. Alan Leach was there last year?
2019, I think.
Yeah. And he had just filmed the Downton Abbey movie and the Queen film Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, see, sometimes you catch people at such good times. And then personally, I suppose one of my Oscars highlights was definitely going to the Elton John Oscars party.
Insane.
It was so funny because all the girls were there. This was the year Kendra was there. We were all in the apartment together, and everyone was like helping me get ready. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to Elton John's gaff. Now it wasn't also actually his gaff. It was like
yeah. Where actually was it again?
It's basically in the middle of a field, like in the middle, like just beside Beverly Hills. And I knew it was like a marquee, but like God, it was the size of a hospital, like if not bigger, the way they had it done. And like every corner had like red roses, like something gold, something exquisite. Like I can't actually imagine how much it costs to put the event together. And like obviously a lot of the parties we go to, there's cool people there, but at the Elton John party, every person you looked at was like
an A-list celeb.
The first person I saw was that girl who plays Madeline on Riverdale.
Oh yeah.
Is that
I
her
know
real
her name is actually Madeline.
Yeah, the redhead.
Yeah,
And
Madeline
the
Peck.
was there too, but I didn't see her. But I remember being in the queue and they were like asking for your tickets. They were double checking your name, and I was like, maybe my name's not on this. Like,
Like, oh shit.
am I meant to be here? This is so weird. And they were like, Madeline, blah blah blah, and she like said her name, and I was like, oh my god. And she was with her boyfriend, and they were like all over each other, and I was like, Alexandra won. But they were like, yeah, here you go. There's your wristband, and I was just like, sorry. But it was a weird party, like because like I was there by myself first of all, but like obviously I could chat to everybody. But I don't know, there was a lot of famous people there. Everyone was really weird about their phones. There wasn't really people out taking selfies or anything like that. It was very much like, you know, this is Uber, we're famous. The first person I saw inside then was, I should really know everyone's names, but I'm just blanking today. But the guy who plays Will and Will and Grace was there.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
What's his name?
So I was looking over to him. And then do you remember I did get a photo with Nicole Scherzinger? What a babe.
Yeah.
What a babe. But actually, one of the best parties I ever went to was the first year I went to the Oscars in 2016. It was basically a charity slash Oscars event, but they don't do them anymore. But Bill Clinton was at them. And I bizarrely
Hello, Bill.
the wildest event I've ever been to. Basically, it was one of the first events I was at, and Marissa Carter was there as well. So
Oh
she
yeah.
just launched Cocoa Brown, and she was getting Cocoa Brown into everyone's hands. She was amazing, and we were both at this event, and there was literally like a spare seat at the table that she was at, and she was like, "Do you want to sit down?" So I was covering it, as in I was on the red carpet and stuff, and I was at the cocktail bar area. But she was like, "Do you want to sit down?" So we ended up randomly sitting wherever, and that table was like right in front of the stage, and it was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Clinton." I was like. And then it was like to perform her, you know, most recent single, Alicia Keys. I was like, what is happening? And then Selena Gomez got up and gave a speech. Demi Lovato gave a speech. Like it was the craziest one. I was so starstruck. And the newspaper I was working for at the time were like, get selfies with everyone. But the PRs over there were like, make sure you go unnoticed so people don't realize you're there recording. And I was like, how do I do this?
Oh no. Wasn't that absolute ride from Entourage there as well?
Jim Grenier.
Yeah.
And I have a photo with him. But those were not my good days. Like I do not like any of those photos. But and remember I said as well, Andy Samberg was there. And
yeah. And you're obsessed with Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Obsessed with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And I started calling him Adam by accident.
Why?
Adam. And I was so close to him. He obviously heard I was calling him.
It's like, excuse me.
I actually wasn't into Brooklyn Nine-Nine then. I was really into the music videos he was doing back then. Remember he did like
Lonely Island.
Yeah, Lonely Island stuff.
So funny.
But like literally minutes after he left, I was like, you know, I called him Adam. That's why he didn't turn around. I was like, but I did get a photo with Selena Gomez, and I got the photo with Adrian Grenier. Adrian was so nice. I was like, Adrian, and he was like, hey. He didn't even know I was looking for a photo. Like he was just like, I was like, oh hi, can I get a photo? And he was actually so lovely. Most people are. This is the thing about A-list celebrities. I know I've said this before to you. Like honestly, the more famous people are, the nicer I find them to be. It's like reality stars. It's people on the way up. I find them actually quite difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
But like A-listers know, and as well when they're at an event like that,
seasoned pros.
Seasoned pros. Like Colin Farrell, in fairness, is probably one of the nicest people, isn't he? Like,
yeah,
he's and so is Chris O'Dowd. Like Chris is just so fucking sound, and so is Dawn. And that's another one of my highlights. I know we have in the piece this week as well. When I interviewed, so what was it 2019? I went
2019. Yeah, you interviewed Chris and Dawn.
And you weren't there that year, yeah. So that year, I was like by myself over there, and it was around Valentine's Day.
I was laughing about this earlier.
Like, why did I bring this up? But basically, I was in this like huge hotel suite, by myself, drinking a bottle of champagne, and you could pay to view movies. And A Star Is Born had just come out, and I was like, oh my god, like I should definitely watch this. So I watched it by myself, had a few tears, drunk, and then the next night I was
drunk.
The next night I was at an event talking to Chris and Dawn, and we were just chatting away. And I've interviewed him a few times, so like he knew me or whatever, but we were just talking about stuff. He got to know me a lot better, I'll tell you now this time, because I was like, we were talking about all the movies that like were being nominated this year, and I was like, oh, Star Is Born was so good. And he was like, yeah. And then I went, yeah, I was actually on my own way talking with Brian to like the night. Why?
Why? And like you can see his face when you're watching it back because you kind of like fun, like you mentioned it, kind of like really quickly. And he's like, that's really sad.
No, he was like, that's really sad. I know. And we actually got on so well after that. Like every time I see him now, he's so chatty. Like I see him at so many things over there now, but I feel like there was a bond created then, you know?
Yeah, you bonded over A Star Is Born. Remember when because we went to the premiere of A Star Is Born when it premiered in Ireland.
Yeah.
The tears.
Oh my God. I remember the lights coming up and everyone was
like, all their makeup was like destroyed. We just looked at each other. We were like, I was so fucking sad.
In terms of Oscars moments, because that was the year after the Oscars took place. Remember, I had dinner with a few Oscar nominees who shall remain nameless. But I asked them that year, I was like, what was the best part of the whole night? And they were like, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. They said literally the whole place, like you could hear a pen drop, like it was just so quiet. And remember they used to have to start kind of fighting off rumors they're seeing each other because they're
because the chemistry between them is like electric. You can't even deny that.
But other moments, there was one year again, I was like literally, so there's this cafe right beside a diner right beside the Dolby Theatre called Mel's Drive-In, which is my favorite.
Good old Mel's.
Brought you there. And one year, me and a girl I'd actually hired in the US, we were reporting on the Oscars. So we were like in Mel's using the Wi-Fi, typing away. And I remember we were watching the Oscars live in Mel's Diner, which is such a famous diner. If any of you guys look it up, like so many celebrities have been there.
I did that in 2018. Remember, I covered it in the diner as well while you were at the Elton John party.
It's our little base over there.
Yeah,
it's like the Goss
base. Good Wi-Fi.
But I remember you were watching it that year, and they were like, "And the winner is La La Land," and then it was like, "Oh, it's actually not La La Land." Do you remember that?
Oh my God, that whole situation.
Massive mistake. And we were just like, what just happened? And do you remember Ryan Gosling was like,
he was like trying not to laugh. He was like
the best Oscars moment in history. It was so funny because afterwards, basically, people walk out of the Dolby Theatre, and then there's limousines everywhere. So everyone has their own cars. So if you've been to the Oscars as a nominee, you have your own car the whole night, which I also didn't realize until I had dinner that night with those Oscar nominees because the car was there. So you get given like this car that's just there. So everyone gets into limousines and they go to the Vanity Fair party or Madonna's party or Elton John's party or Jay-Z has a party as well. But that year I remember people coming out just being like no one was even getting into their cars. Everyone was just like, what just happened? Like, sorry. That was so wild. And that's the funny thing about the Oscars, like everyone's always like, but have you been to the Oscars? And it's like, well, no one goes to the Oscars really unless you're
a nominee.
It's like all the parties that happen. I mean, Vanity Fair is the number one. Like, I actually think there was some year that Kim Kardashian didn't even get into Vanity Fair.
Yeah, that's like a huge part of it though. It's like Oscars week. It's not just about the Oscars. There's so many pre-Oscar events that happen. And then obviously after parties on the night and stuff. And that's kind of the most exciting part because the actual ceremony itself is a bit boring.
Yeah, it's hard work as well. Like we know a few reporters that do the winners room. I've never even applied for it because I'm like, I could not be arsed. You're basically in the Dolby Theatre for like 10 hours. You have to go through all these security checks at the start. And like the thing that people don't realize too, like there's literally police officers with guns lining the street.
Yeah, no, it's so intense.
Yeah, it's way more intense what they show on TV. You never really get to see it, but we always go because we're there the days leading up. And you would have seen this in your there, Kendra. You can see like the red carpet getting built. You can see the red carpet area all getting designed, like all that stuff's happening. But you also see a lot of police officers, and I'd say there's terror threats. Like I'd say there's so much stuff that goes on that like we've actually no idea about. But yeah, I think I'm trying to think. Was there any other party or? Do you know what I always love too? I just love Oscars night itself. So obviously the Elton John year was amazing. But I've been there a few times where a few Irish people go to this bar on Sunset called Rock and Riley's, and they do like an Irish party. And it sounds so random, but like the amount of like directors actors. I've bumped into so many people. This is what I love about Hollywood and what I love about LA. It's like no matter where you are, you're just gonna recognize someone or you're gonna see someone that you know. And I always find it like so friendly. Like you can literally chat to anybody and everyone's making a movie. Like your Uber driver is a director. Like it's just like
And there's always such a strong Irish presence over in LA during Oscars week anyway. So you're like bound to come across a good crowd.
I always love getting the flight like over because we normally fly via London. So I'm like, who's going to be on the plane? And you always hear stories of like who's on there. And then there's a few different places that we would go to quite often that a lot of celebs would be in, like Chateau Marmont. Like, did you enjoy?
Yeah, I loved it. And then Highlight Room. There's probably so many stories that we cannot tell unless we wanted a cease and desist letter.
I'm trying to think of another party that I went to before. The guy from Modern Family was in it, you know, the guy who plays Luke.
Oh yeah.
There, but that was actually for the Grammys. I'm trying to think now. All the parties meld into one at this point. And remember, I was going to the Harvey Weinstein parties as well.
Oh God, yeah.
One year we went and like we'd heard that Leonardo DiCaprio was going to be there. He didn't come in the end, but it was like a few months after that where all the allegations came out. I was like, oh my God. But this is the thing, there's so much that goes on during the week there. There's so many parties, there's so many red carpets, and there's all these other awards in the meantime. Like there's Costume Guild Awards, there's Screen Actor Awards, there's all these random awards, and sometimes the bigger stars are at those.
Yeah, like the Oscar Wilde, I know we call it the Oscar Wilde party, but it's actually the Oscar Wilde Awards.
Yeah.
Because they honor was it like 3 different people every year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a good party though. It's honestly my favorite one. It's just you end up seeing a lot of people from the Irish movie industry over there. Then you're also seeing like one year John Hamm was there from Mad Men. I was like, sorry. But then also like Amy Huberman will be there. It's weird. You like bump into all these different people. It's such a strange mix, but everyone is so lovely. And I just feel like there's no, I don't know, there's no one's pretentious at those parties, in my opinion. Like they're just, everyone's so cool, and people don't like to dress up too much for the Oscar Wilde. I would say I've probably been some of the most dressed up people there.
Yeah.
Because I'm always wearing a dress and people are just there in their jeans. Like Katrina Balfe is just like rolling in, and like, you know, it's, do you remember the year actually that Daisy, what's her second? Daisy Ridley. My mind is just gone. Daisy Ridley from Star Wars. Like when we were there that year, there was literally hundreds of fans lining like JJ's office because they knew she was going to be there. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. But he gets so many good people.
Do you actually remember? So the year I was there, 2018, was the year of the Beast from the East, that mad storm. And remember, Barry Keoghan was so late for the Oscar Wilde Awards because his flight was delayed like twice.
Off his plane, like into the party, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but remember, because we completely missed that whole storm. Like I think I remember we were sitting in our apartment and like we started seeing pictures from home of like 10 feet of snow outside people's doors. We were like, what's going on?
I know, and the like video of the little ATM or whatever getting.
Oh yeah, that digger like crashing into Little.
It's so funny when I'm over there. Like I just feel like Ireland doesn't even exist. It just, I feel like I'm in a totally other world. And even to this day, people are talking about that whole. I mean, what month was that? It was in February.
It was February, yeah. End of February.
So wild.
So crazy. So mad.
I miss it. I really am hurting like this year. I'm hurt that I'm not there. Like it's really weird not being over there just for the parties. And even like the gifting suites, remember we used to always cover them.
Yeah.
Gifting suites are so mad over there, guys. Like I've been to a few over the years. Some of them I've been able to get gifted stuff myself, which has been cool, but some of them I just got to see. And I remember one of the years, one of the first ones I ever went to, I was just in there to cover it. Like I was just filming what it looked like. And they were literally giving Rolex watches to people. Like I was like, sorry. And then you could get Botox in one of the rooms, fillers in another. I was just like, what is going on? But then when I started actually getting gifts and stuff, it was like the most random stuff. Like I'd leave with like 4 bags of shoes and like
yeah, because like none of them are actually official gifting sweet things. It's all kind of companies that kind of decide to do it themselves. Like even the actual Oscars goodie bag that gets given to like the best actor nominees and stuff, that's always worth like 6 figures. But it's a random marketing company that just does it. It
Okay,
actually
what's the
has
goodie
no
bags?
affiliation. Sorry?
What's actually in the goodie bags this year?
So this year there's like 2 different holidays. Like there's like a 4-night stay at this mad spa, which has been voted like the #1 spa in the world. Like it's insane. I think it's like 10,000 a night or something. And then another one is a trip to Iceland. And then it's just like a free plastic surgery session. Like it's just, the stuff is insane and it's worth 6 figures.
Oh my God.
It's
What
mad.
would you doing with that? Like, would you actually get cosmetic surgery if you were given a voucher for it?
Probably, yeah.
Like, what you look? I have it on the credit card there. Yeah, that's so bizarre. I wonder, I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen this weekend. Number one, from a fashion point of view, dying to see what's going to be on the red carpet. I feel like there hasn't really been trends this year for award season. Like there's not one color I've seen over and over again. I think the trend is that people are dressing up from home. That's like what the trend is. So I'm interested to see what the story is this weekend, because I know it's obviously a real red carpet. Also quite controversially, like they're not going to have people wearing masks during the telecast, which I don't know how it sits with me, but Steven Soderbergh is the guy that's filming the whole thing. He's like an actual film director. He's made all the Oceans movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He has said that like he's all this work put in, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, how can you contain all these people and make sure that there's no outbreaks? Do they all have vaccines? I'm really like confused to how.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it's actually going to work, because it's probably going to be one of the first awards shows since COVID that's like going to have people in person actually accepting the awards there. I know the Grammys did it.
The Grammys were like outside though, right? And everyone was wearing masks.
Yeah, they were only allowed to take their masks off if they were accepting an award, which was fair enough. And they were all like seated apart.
So with this, they're saying you only have to wear your masks during the ad breaks. So that's what they've told people.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm intrigued to see what way they'll do it. And they're having it in the Dolby Theatre, like where it is every year.
I know, so there's so many people traveling in to go to it. The whole thing is a bit.
No, they're actually not doing that. So they've set up a hub in London and a hub in France for nominees that are there to avoid people having to travel.
But they're also in the Dolby Theatre.
No, like there will be telecasts from there, but I think there'll be like different presenters over there.
What about the people that? Yeah, I was going to say, what about the nominees that live in LA? Surely they're allowed to go.
No, that's what I mean. They'll be going. They'll be in person at the Dolby Theatre.
That's a little bit better, I suppose. Yeah, God, I'm amazed. And also, again, the Oscars, controversially, one more time, no host this year.
Yeah, 3rd year in a row there's no host. There's been no host ever since that whole Kevin Hart drama.
I don't get it though. I would love them to have a host again, and especially this year of all years. I feel like though Tina Fey and Amy Poehler end up kind of, I don't know, anytime they do any sort of presenting, and even in one category, I'm like, because they're just so good.
Yeah, I don't. Well, what did they host actually?
Golden Globes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're so good at the
I
Globes.
don't really know why they don't bring back Jimmy Kimmel.
I know, and remember, you'll know this from being on that road. Like Jimmy Kimmel is literally across the road. He films like across the road from the Dolby Theatre. Yeah, it's really weird. And also, it's a weird year. We were talking about this earlier in terms of nominations and in terms of talent, in terms of movies. I guess obviously because COVID put a halt to a lot of productions, there's so many movies that haven't actually been released, so they haven't been put in for review like at all. Yeah. So like, what do you think are the big films that we're going to see this weekend?
Well, there's a lot of buzz around Promising Young Woman, which is with Carey Mulligan. You can actually watch that on Now TV.
Dying to see it.
Dying to see it. So I actually saw it on my Now TV thing last night. I was like, right. No, I didn't watch it. I was like, right, I'll watch it on Friday or something like that. But then also The Trial of the Chicago 7, which is on Netflix. I watched that. It's so good.
Such a good movie. And love that Sacha Baron Cohen got nominated.
Yeah. So I think that's really interesting as well.
Yeah, it's great to see more Netflix movies, isn't it? Making it to the Oscars.
yeah, I think it just shows the way things are going at the moment, because I think when Netflix were kind of trying to start making it into like bigger productions and stuff, their own original content, I'd say like a lot of people in Hollywood kind of turned their nose up at it a little bit at the start. But now I think everyone is kind of realizing that streaming platforms are here to stay, and that's going to be the future of cinema.
Yeah, like I think I said this before, but like I don't understand why the likes of Bond and stuff just doesn't release at home. The way Tenet got released where you could order it online. Like I loved watching that, and I got the same experience. Like I'm such a movie buff, I always have been. I've always loved cinemas, going to cinemas, but I love watching movies more than the experience of going to a cinema. Like so there's so many movies that haven't got released, and I'm like, just release them. Like let us enjoy them. We're going to watch them at home, like in our little home cinema or in our front room or in our bedroom. Like I don't understand. I feel like there would be a lot more movies at the Oscars this year if they'd done that.
Yeah, I don't really know why. I think it's more because it's obviously Daniel Craig's last time doing Bond, so maybe they just want to make sure that there's a big deal about it.
And so what do you know what talent are presenting this weekend?
Yeah, so there's like Brad Pitt, Reese Witherspoon. They have a really good list. There's a lot of winners from last year that are being invited back to guest present. So yeah, they do have a really good list of guest presenters. But yeah, they obviously make up for the fact that there's no host. But like they have guest presenters anyway.
I'm trying to think who I'm really looking forward to seeing their outfit. I mean, I think Reese actually does always kill it. Reese Witherspoon, she always goes so classic Hollywood. I just love her style.
Yeah. And yeah, there's a load of amazing nominees this year, especially like Wolfwalkers is nominated for animated movie, which is the only Irish nominee this year.
There's such nice guys as well. I always see them at the Oscars. I remember the year I was at the Elton John party, they just came in after because they'd been at the actual Oscars. And I remember Tom was walking in and being like, and I was like, God, it's far from Ireland we are now, lads. And it was like, how's it going? I'd say they were just like, who the fuck is it? No, they're amazing. But still, it was just like one of those moments where it's like, God, like it's so mad. And they get nominated every year. I think this could be their year though that they win the Oscar.
Do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz around this movie. Like there's a lot of buzz around all their movies, but I think every year their quality just gets better and better. I definitely think this could be the year, and it'd be kind of sad if this is the year because they're not going to be over there to be like a part of it. Because the thing is as well as the Oscar parties, you have people that have their own things. Like there's parties in hotel lobbies, like we were talking about there. There's parties in Chateau Marmont. There's parties everywhere. So like a lot of like I've been in one of the parties before a couple of years ago. A friend of mine had a movie up for best short film, and they all had this massive party in like the lobby of the Beverly Hilton. And I went there after the awards. That was in 2016 as well. So I went there when the awards were over, and just like it was mad. Like
it's insane. And like the Oscar Wilde Awards, that's not even happening this year at all. It was cancelled for the first time in 15 years.
Yeah,
cancelled. So that's really
yeah, it's sad, but I think to wrap it up in a positive, I'm like, I can't wait for next year. Like I do genuinely think 2022 the Oscars are going to be back properly. I think they're going to be back again probably in like March, April, maybe at the latest. I think they're going to try. The fact that they're going so normal now with it makes me think next year is going to be fully back to normal. So I think next year could be like a massive year. I think people that maybe didn't always go to these events will be definitely at them next year.
Yeah.
Like I think the Oscar Wilde party will be wild without the E. I think it's going to be fun. I actually just can't wait to get back over there and be on a red carpet / green carpet, be in sun, see the celebs, and just be like, oh.
Oh my God, I would literally go to the opening of a freaking envelope at this stage. Like, I don't care what it's for.
If like we're opening a new yogurt shop, I'm like, I'll be there.
They're like, there'll be no celebs, or I don't care.
I don't care. Like honestly, I just miss it so much. Taking my huge lorry out to Malibu.
Your huge lorry. You know what I actually remembered earlier today? So when we were over in 2018, one of the days we were like, right, let's go and do some touristy stuff, like while we're like not having to work. And we went to Hollywood Boulevard. And when you're walking around Hollywood down Hollywood Boulevard, there's loads of different tours and stuff, and loads of different operators which like want to
God.
bring you around to see all the different celebrity homes and stuff. And I remember we walked past the TMZ one, and there's so many different ones that you can do. Like it's actually kind of overwhelming. There's so many people trying to sell you tickets. And we walked past the TMZ one, and we were, I don't know why we just didn't go for it. We should have.
So expensive. It was like $200 per person.
Yeah. So we were like, right, we'll leave that. And then we went kind of a bit down, and I don't know why. We decided, but the guy seemed pretty good, like whatever. We were like, right, we'll go on this one. And we bought the tickets, and it was like at a kiosk thing. So we hadn't even seen like what kind of car it was in or bus or whatever. And then we were brought around to the bus, and like I'd say it was from like the 80s. Like it was such an old bus. Right?
The door was literally
this is what I was just about to say. We were like, right, we'll get on. I'm sure it'll be like okay. They brought us to like the most random places ever. Like it wasn't like they brought us to Michael Jackson's house. Like that was kind of cool.
But everyone else was like, oh, here's where Rhonda blah 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 tripped over or something. You're like,
you know, we were like so. And then at one point we were like going up like part of the Hollywood Hills, and the door literally fell off.
No, the door
fell off the bus. It fell off.
And I remember I did this whole thing. I was like, oh, I've done loads of these tours, Kendra. I'll bring you on one, because I had done loads. And then do you remember they had to stop to get gas in the middle of it all?
It was just like, it was so random, and the door falling off, and like the way the door dramatically fell off as well. And we were like going quite fast. I was like, oh my God, I'm in fear for my life.
No, like it was not okay. We were like holding on to the door.
Yeah.
And then there were loads of squirrels kept coming up to the bus to the gas station. I was traumatized by that.
I forgot.
Oh my God, actually, the last story I'll tell before we go is also a bus story. Remember I told you there was one year where we ran a story about Orlando Bloom, and we had pictures of Orlando Bloom with this girl who looked really like Katy Perry at a party, just getting very flirty, and we were trying to figure out if him and Katy were broken up. We found out they did, so we were trying to get their reps to be like, yeah, they broke up. They just wouldn't give it to us, and they were threatening like legal action, all sort of stuff. And his lawyer was literally on the phone to me, and as I was on a bus tour, I was like, hello, and then the bus tour driver was like, we're just coming up to Katy Perry's house, and they were like, excuse me? I was like, oh, and I was with the lads from 2FM, remember? And I was just like, oh, I was like, I'm just on a bus tour. The two of them like rolling around trying to get into their car.
Oh my God. What is with all our mad bus stories? There's a lot of them.
So, no, we need, next time when you come back, you have to come next year. We need to do the TMZ tour. Absolutely.
We have to, and hopefully the door doesn't fucking fall off.
What I did was a couple of years ago, they were in the middle of building Kim and Connie their house, and they brought us to there where the house was actually being built. That was kind of cool. In Beverly Hills, and you could actually see like the construction on the house and everything. And I was like, oh my God. And then like I think they did this on your tour too, where they bring you to where like Pretty Woman was shot, and like
I can't even remember. I was just so traumatized by the door falling off.
I'd love to do the La La Land tour.
Yeah, I'd love to do proper Warner Brothers tour.
There is a lot of stuff I haven't done over there. We always go to the Hollywood sign. That's amazing. But I've never been to the Griffith Observatory. Just the way everyone said.
Yeah, we were meant to do that as well. We were meant to go to Disneyland as well.
There's many things we do, Kendra. But post-COVID, I will be doing them all.
All of them.
But we shall leave it there. We'll be doing all the red carpet stuff at the Oscars this weekend on Twitter and on Instagram, and then we'll be doing all the winners, stuff like that. But yeah, keep on the social for best dressed. And yeah, any final words, Kendra? Any Oscar final words?
No, I'm just so excited until we can get back to reporting on events in person again. Because it's like, even doing the feature on our favorite interviews and stuff, it just made me like reminisce. I was like, oh, I can't wait until we're back to doing that again.
Me too.
It's so fun.
Fingers crossed it's soon. Okay. We'll end it there. Bye.
Bye.
Live from the red carpet.
The moment you've all been waiting for.
Well, that hit the spot.